The Mommies with the Maggots. We have Evil Dead Rise. Premiered at South by Southwest. We were there. We just got back yesterday from South by, and let me tell you, the experiencing Evil Dead Rise premiering at South by with a full crowd and everything, just insane. I very much enjoyed this one, and I will give you all my thoughts and opinions right now. But before we get any further into it, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. We're on the road to 30,000 subscribers, less than 3,000 to go. So let's talk about Evil Dead Rise. So Lee Cronin is directing this one, also written by Lee Cronin, and let me tell you, Lee Cronin is just such a very, very nice guy. We had a chance to see him at the Q&A after, and everything he talked about the movie, about the process, himself as a filmmaker, you can tell that he was so excited to get Evil Dead Rise and have a chance to make this movie as well. And when there's so much passion behind a project and everything, it is just going to show on the screen, and it shows here. So you have Lily Sullivan as well as Alyssa Sutherland, who are the stars of this movie, and they were there at the Q&A as well. And so we'll talk about the Q&A after, and I also will upload a video of it, but let's talk about the movie and how it was. So this movie is taking things a little bit differently, I think, than the rest of the Evil Dead movies, but at the same time, it's taking notes from all of them. 2013, of course, is a movie that I think feels very different from the original ones in the 80s, 90s, where it takes different approaches to how it wants to sort of showcase the Deadites, everything about the book, all of that. But I think at the same time, they all still have that sort of Evil Dead feeling as well. Evil Dead is a franchise that I think is known for its goofiness, comedy, horror, and all of that as well. It is a very fast-paced horror franchise, in my opinion, where it's just like right from the get-go, we get into it, and it never stops as we get to the finish. And this one is no different than the rest, where it does that just perfectly. This is more of a claustrophobic feeling one, I think, because it is just one full set where it takes place. And I know, like with Evil Dead movies, it usually is that with the cabin and all of that, but in a way this one felt a little bit more claustrophobic, and I think it's just the way the shots and everything were done with the walls, where you just felt like you were in this cage of sorts. And I think that we have such a great vision here being brought to life, where this one looks very different from the Evil Dead movies as well, where I think that the way the designs and everything of the Deadites were done here is just incredible. It is something that looks very different, but at the same time, very familiar to Evil Dead. The acting here from the younger actors is also great. That's usually a thing when it comes to horror movies or movies in general, where the acting from the younger actors can either make or break scenes. I think everybody here did a great job as well. Of course, the two lead ladies did an amazing performance as well. Really balanced each other very well. The chemistry was there because they are sisters in the movie as well. So I really did enjoy seeing that on the screen. The horror in here is amazing as well. The effects were done very beautifully as well. And it's funny to say beautifully in a horror film, right? But it is something that when you're seeing it and looking at it, you're just like, that took some time, and it really does show on the screen as well. Lee Cronin's direction here as well, camera work and all of that, very, very Evil Dead feeling, but at the same time, very new as well. And that's something I was kind of scared of going into Evil Dead Rise. I don't want it to feel like all the other Evil Deads. I want this to be different. I don't want to watch a movie that just feels like a regurgitation of Evil Dead 1 or Evil Dead 2013. I want it to feel different. I want there to be new stuff being done. And that's exactly what we got from Evil Dead Rise. There's some new ideas floated around as well here, not just with the look of the film, but also with the story in itself, that I think is going to make something very interesting with what they're going further into with this Evil Dead universe, which I think is something very exciting to hear. It comes to the action, the blood and all of that, make no mistake, Evil Dead Rise does not hold back on any of it. You are going to get it all over, and it is something that is just insane to see. Some of these like moments where there is like the cheese grater, of course, is one of them. We've seen it in the trailer and all of that, and I don't want to give any of the other ones away, because once you see them, you're just like, what is going on? But it is just done perfectly. I think Lily Sullivan and Alyssa Sutherland are definitely going to be on your radar when it comes to horror movies, and everybody's radar who are making horror movies, because they're just amazing in this as well. But yeah, cheese grater scene and everything in the trailer does not really give justice to everything else that you're about to see in this movie, because it just gets even more bonkers, more insane, and it is just such an insane ride throughout. I definitely do think that this one is one you watch with a crowd, because the crowd at South by Southwest was electrifying, which was always great to hear, especially because the filmmakers and everybody who was there was involved in the film was there watching as well. So I'm pretty sure that felt great to see those reactions coming from the movie you just made. Third act for this movie as well, I think, is one of the strongest ones in the whole franchise. There is just so much that builds up into this third act, where by the time we get to it, it just feels like pure insanity. And there is a lot of things here that I was never expecting to see from an Evil Dead movie, and it gave us just that. There's definitely a lot of lore building, like I said before, and I really am excited to see what they're trying to work up until. I haven't really finished Ash vs. the Evil Dead, so I'm curious to go back to it now after watching this movie, because there's a lot of things in here that do definitely make me think of the show as well. And also there is a lot that continues on after this movie, which has me very excited. So I'll definitely talk more about that in another video full of spoilers closer to release, but that's all I'll say for now. I think Alyssa Sutherland really has stolen this show here, but Lily Sullivan is just right there as well. And this very much so matchup that they have also is just great to see throughout the whole movie, because like I said, I think both of them are very iconic when it comes to two very different roles, and it's gonna be a very interesting post release of Evil Dead to see where these two go, because I think both of them have a very like clear future now when it comes to not just horror but movies in general, because they really do a great job. Because generally with horror movies, I think that we go into it wanting the scares, wanting all of these like weird things to happen, and then when you get great acting, it just puts it at that higher level, and that's exactly what we have here. This is why I think it is such a great movie, because the acting here was just incredibly done. The scares were great, cinematography was beautiful, camera work, everything in this, the story as well. It is a very simple story, but at the end of the day, it has a lot of heart, a lot of meaning to not just family, motherhood, and all of that. And that's all I'll say, because I don't want to get too many spoilers out there. The movie also clocks in at 97 minutes. For me, that's a very sweet spot for a movie to have. I feel like movies that generally go over that hour and 40 generally, mostly for the most time, could have cut some things out, and I think that that is such a sweet spot, especially for a horror movie like this one that just gets right into the action, which is what Evil Dead Rise does. It doesn't let you take a breath. As soon as we start, we are going, and we're going 100 miles per hour, which was great to see. And so I think that this is definitely such a very, very good runtime. Like, honestly, there's not much I can say that I didn't like about this film. There maybe were some moments here and there that I thought could have been cut, honestly, and that's just cutting like a minute or two. But I always like my movies to be like an hour and 30 or so, so I feel like there were moments here that could have been cut, that definitely would have had this film feeling a lot more fresh. But overall, I enjoyed it. I'm giving it a 9, honestly, a 9 out of 10. I am a fan of the Evil Dead franchise. I think that all of them have been great. It is such a perfect track record when it comes to horror, which is kind of hard, especially when you get horror movies that go on over 5 movies. It is definitely that moment when things go a little sideways. I mean, even some movies after the third movie, it goes sideways. So I think that it is proven here that Evil Dead is a franchise that is not going away anytime soon. And this movie definitely has those little hints here and there that there is a larger frame being built out for this franchise, and I'm here for it. I'm here to watch it. I'm here to see where we go, and I'm excited. So let me know your thoughts and your opinions whenever you see Evil Dead Rise. What do you think? And let me know any other questions you might have in the comments down below. Maybe I'll do a follow-up video before we get to the release, but I will definitely be talking more about Evil Dead Rise and as well as what could come next. So stay tuned for that. More South by Southwest videos as well coming to you. We do have Swarm today, Servant, and some other videos coming out, so stay tuned for that. But very excited for this. So Q&A for the Evil Dead Rise, I'll try to upload it as well today, so y'all can check it out. But as always, that's going to do it for me. We're on the road to 30,000 subscribers, less than 3,000 to go. Super excited to get to that point. And as always, I'll see all of you next time. Check us out on culturelixir.com, Twitter, Culture Elixir, Instagram, The Culture Elixir, and TikTok, Culture Elixir. As always, stay safe, stay positive.